So today we have another very special and interesting guest. We have Diane Kopelakis, and I hope I got your name said right. And Diane is a very interesting lady. She's an evolved dietitian. Is that correct, Diane?
Yes, it is.
So welcome to the show, and I want to hear all about what you do and how you do it. But first, I want to know a little bit about you from your, say, how you got interested in doing what you're doing.
I started out when I went to college. I actually thought that I was going to become a psychiatrist or psychologist, and little did I know I actually feel like one every day. But I did take a nutrition class for a science credit, and ever since then I was hooked. These days, I actually call myself that evolved dietitian thing. It sounds so pretentious, but I needed to single myself out a little bit, kind of to make people wonder what I'm talking about so they get to ask questions, but also because I wanted them to know that I wasn't the typical dietitian. And as I talk, you'll start to understand how atypical I am and why how important that is. So personally and professionally, over the last 50-ish years, I feel that we've been told some things that aren't necessarily true that maybe help the pockets of some big companies or arenas, I should just say. And so I truly believe that nutrition, like outdated nutrition recommendations, have harmed us because of this and some other outdated health information. And it hasn't just hurt myself, but my family. Don't mess with Mama Bear, and also, or Daughter Bear too, but also myself. And it's a major regret of mine not realizing this sooner because I've been doing this 30 plus years. Not knowing this information, I believe, hurt people. It hurt my family. I mean, I did not go out to intentionally hurt people, but not knowing certain things and thinking certain things, I do think delayed progress or made things worse for certain people, family, myself, again, and clients, patients. But now, what I use with my clients, which I'll speak about, gosh, I help people with, and people should know, dietitians see everybody who eats, everybody, even people on tube feeding, we see. And I help people with diabetes. I mean, I help people with strokes, heart disease, people who want to prevent that stuff, Alzheimer's, autism, mental people dealing with mental health issues, people just want to lose weight. So it's not just all about calorie counting. It's about health in general. So my history again includes about 30 years in the wellness area, almost two decades, absolutely 2 decades in the clinical arena, the hospitals and so forth. I actually worked in trauma and ICUs for most of my time, or maybe, yeah, the majority of my time in the clinical setting. And but not just there. I've always been in private practice as well. Did some stuff with community health, academia, love that, and corporate wellness coaching. So with all that lovely experience, I got to know people well. I got to understand. I did that my psychology there, right, and still do. I even did some fitness training in the beginning. It's funny. Of course, I had my own personal journey navigating and overcoming multiple autoimmune issues, hypo and hyperthyroid, gained 60 pounds in 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, a dietitian should be doing that. There's something else going on here than just food, right? Chronic fatigue syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a lot of health struggles that a little stick figure person growing up until the age of about 42 shouldn't be dealing with, right? And then traditional medicine, I wasn't getting anywhere with it. And the things that I would have told somebody wasn't helping me. So I finally realized I had to do something different. Now, COVID was a blessing for some of us. Um, and they say, thank God for unanswered prayers. I got laid off. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to get laid off. At the same time, my parents had passed. I was a caregiver for both of them through Alzheimer's, Lewy body dementia. I mean, it was really difficult. But COVID helped me out because of that layoff. I was laid off because of COVID. I was considered non-essential. Oh, great. But I didn't let it get me down. So I hit hard. I thought, should I go back to school? But I couldn't find any schools that actually taught what I wanted to learn. I thought, should I become a doctor? I'll get respect that way. Only problem is, with all that money and time spent, I was going to be giving the same advice. It was just going to come down to the same advice I was going to give to everybody, whether or not I was a doctor or a dietitian. I mean, I'm not going to talk about medications, right? So I realized I needed to do something crazy. So I went to metaphorical school and I taught myself. So I did some certificate programs that did teach what I was interested in. And I began to realize that it wasn't just food. It was our body and our environment. It sounds very woo-woo. Some of the stuff I'm going to speak about sounds woo-woo, but I teach my clients that it's not. And then they start to make their own parallels and see certain things in their life about their environment that they realize, oh, this is what might be why my nutrition isn't cutting it. And so I'll explain that a little bit more. So basically, the research that I got interested in was regarding light, water, and magnetism. It sounds very woo-woo. You don't even have to understand it when you're my client. Just knowing that I come from that place helps people feel safe and that I got them. They don't have to understand the quantum, the subatomic particle stuff in the cell. But if they want to learn it, I love teaching it. But basically, when it comes to nutrition, your environment. So that light, water, and magnetism has to do with your environment. What does that mean? We usually associate it with green movement and, being good, not polluting. So it hit me like a ton of bricks the more and more that I learned about it and realized that no food, no exercise, no supplement, no medication is going to help us unless we have a few things on point. And as we get older and older, our environment gets more and more, well, it's always important, but it hits us harder and harder. And what I mean by that is how the environment actually impacts our circadian rhythm. And our circadian rhythm, I like to describe it as an internal clock. And people have heard it, and it helps with sleep kind of thing. But oh my goodness, I wish I had known this sooner. It actually is the most important thing, because your circadian rhythm, well, you should know that your body runs on dark and light cycles. And it helps create a rhythm between all of our organ systems. Each organ runs on its own clock, and all the clocks are connected to the main clock up here. And if there's any miscommunication between them or any kind of chaos, it can result in some type of disease wherever that miscommunication or chaos occurs. So every organ in our body is yoked with time. And what dictates that timing is light. It sounds so crazy. If I heard myself talking 20, 30 years ago, especially, I would have just swiped right or left or whatever that, I would have just turned myself off. I would not have listened to myself. But after 30 years, I should say that studying health, including nutrition, I don't want to say it puts us at a disadvantage, but it does keep our blinders on. It puts blinders on us, I think. And we can't really see maybe what a layperson might allow into the world. They're more open to. No, not once you go to dietitian school, medical school, at least a lot of people I know deal with the same thing. So anyway, I had to unlearn a lot. So if this sounds strange to you, don't worry. It sounded really strange to me too. So basically, when it comes to light, it's the sun. The sun synchronizes our body, and so the morning, especially the AM sunlight, is like our on switch. And as the sun goes down, it becomes our off switch. And certain things are, I love to say, yoked to that, because that's like the best way to describe it. Sun means activation, energy to do things. Certain hormones are produced and or excreted during the day that shouldn't be at night, and vice versa. And if these things are going right, your cells are creating energy, using energy from the body appropriately, using energy from your food appropriately, you're digesting things appropriately. Everything is more appropriate when everything's synchronized. It's like a beautiful orchestra. And if one person's wrong, like off in the horn section, it's going to affect the rest of them, right? So inappropriate light signals, like doing too much under blue light at night or not getting enough sun during the day, can really impact. I mean, just serotonin alone, that the good mood hormone, which turns into melatonin at night. If we can't create adequate serotonin, there goes the medication from the doctor for depression and things like that. So when we don't get appropriate light signals, there's chaos in the body. I don't mean just, a party going crazy chaos, but a little bit of inflammation. And it gets worse and worse over time, especially if we're not doing other things right. We're not getting enough sleep, which appropriate light allows you to get appropriate sleep. It's amazing how it's involved. But this metabolic slowdown, this chaos, this inflammation can lead to our chronic everyday diseases we talk about all the time: diabetes, heart disease, even fatty liver, mood issues, anxiety, depression, even Alzheimer's. So that's why I'm so passionate about this, because there's a lot that my family and myself went through that we didn't have to go through. And I'm not saying that as we get older, we won't have something going on, but it's hitting us earlier and earlier than it should, than it ever did. I mean, the US, we spend more money than any developed country with not the best health outcomes. Not like you'd expect for all the money we spend. And actually, it's not all about lifespan, right? It's about health span, how healthy you are while you're alive. But we're dying way earlier than just 10, 20 years ago. It's unbelievable. I think it's changed about 5 years. It's decreased. That's not okay. And it's not just COVID that did it. And light cycles, appropriate circadian rhythm, help us with these infectious diseases as well. Help, fight them off. So inappropriate light signals, that's your environment. But there are some other things, other parts of the environment that could impact how we use our food and how we function appropriately. And that brings me to mention genes. So much of our healthcare dollars go to watching or studying gene therapy. But most of our chronic conditions are not gene related. They're environmental, and the environment impacts the genes. That's called epigenetics. And they turn things on and off in our body, controlled mostly by light. It's quite fascinating. So it's no wonder that we're having the issues we're having today, and they're not necessarily getting better the more we run to the pharmacy. Not that we shouldn't get something when we need something to help us through, but the lifelong medications that usually prompt another medication to deal with the side effect of their first medication and so on, that becomes a problem. And then you don't necessarily, what's up?
No, I just wanted to have you come to, we'll edit that out.
I do. Yeah.
I wanted you to come to an end so I could sneak a question in there.
Okay. Let's see.
I don't remember exactly.
It's okay. So that's why I look at the environment and somebody's nutrition now.
So what's surprising me here is you think of dietitian, you're definitely thinking about diet. And what makes you so interesting is your combination of what you've studied outside of a dietitian methods. And you got me thinking that in the morning, I need to go out and take a walk.
Yay! Exercise and sunshine. That's wonderful. Yes, yes. And so, yeah, if you think about it, a lot of people, they're like, well, I've been exercising every morning and gosh, it's really helped. I'm just walking. And now I look back and like, you know what? They weren't just walking. They were getting their sunshine. Now there's some caveats. There's some things you have to do to be to really benefit from the sun. And of course, I cover that with my clients. And so I came up with something called the blank slate diet. It was something that I just wrote one day on top of one of my clients' diets. I was like, you need a blank slate. And it was years ago. And I've been using it ever since. The blank slate diet. Let's just start from the beginning. Let's start with eating what we evolved on. And maybe slowly we can add some other little things in, depending on the person. And really, I hesitate using, I trademarked it, but because of the acronym BS diet, I don't know if I really love that. But it's not BS. It's the blank slate that works for so many people. And then I had to, since environment's so important, because without adequate environment, you're not going to use your food appropriately. So I came up with the REST protocol. And me being a lover of acronyms, I figured out that R can stand for, well, do you want me to go through my REST program?
Just short, just summarize real quickly.
Okay, I'll summarize it. So basically, R is for respiration, which includes breathing, but it's not just about breathing. It's the health of your red blood cells that you carry the oxygen you're breathing in on and things like that. And then E is for electrons that we actually eat. It sounds funny, sounds weird, but we actually eat our electrons and we gain electrons from grounding, which I explain with my clients. Like putting your bare feet on the ground kind of thing. It's a real thing. Of touching a tree, that matters too. It's crazy. I didn't believe this before. And then S, of course, sunshine. And I teach how different rays do different things. They act like a multivitamin. It's crazy at different times of the day. And I teach people based on what their issues are, how best to use the sun. And then T is for other therapies that a major one that's really popular these days is the cold plunge, so cold water therapy, but also sauna. Gratitude is huge for me. I've been doing that for the last 20, 30 years, using gratitude journals with people and many other things. So that T kind of takes care of the therapies and everything else. So that's what I use to really get to the root cause of somebody's issues.
That's really excellent. I think you're going to make an excellent speaker at our event, and come up with a cute title for what you want to name it. And I think you'll fill a room because this has been fascinating. So when you're at the actual expo, and you are located right here in Lake Worth, if you want to tell people how to get in touch with you, and I'll let people know throughout the interview, but how do people get in touch with you?
Well, you can just call me, but I'll give you my website too. But meanwhile, call me. I don't mind. 561-436-6617. But you can find me and learn about my more of my story and read my blog at The Evolved Dietitian. But I also, the same website can be found by just looking up my business name, which is Wellness Clarified. On social media, anything with The Evolved Dietitian, my face should pop up with a little magnifying glass.
Wonderful.
And I do Zoom consults.
Oh, beautiful. Excellent. That's really important because people can speak with you from anywhere in the world if you do Zoom. So my last question is, when people stop at your booth and, what can they expect? Is there anything, do you have a 5-minute consultation? What can people expect?
Great question. I've been trying to figure this out myself because usually I can't give 5-minute consultations because it's just not enough. But if someone says something to me, I'll be like, okay, this is probably your issue. I need more information and we need more time, but this is definitely for you kind of thing. Or if it's not, I tell them, you're doing everything right. Sounds like, but usually in 5 minutes, I don't know if they're doing everything right. And usually there's a line, so I can't give one-on-ones like that. However, if someone needs a little bit more time, they can call me and they can get a feel for whether or not I'm right for them. And I should have mentioned, I do go to people's homes if it's local in the Palm Beach, Broward area, maybe even Martin County. I do You Care parties as well. Remember the old Tupperware parties?
Sure.
Well, I miss those days, especially since COVID. Like, what happened to our candlelight parties? Avon, what happened to those? So I do You Care parties where a host gets, at least for other people, and they choose out of a list I give them something they want me to cover. It's a wellness party, and it's not pushing anything, any kind of service or anything to buy. It's just education, because a lot of my clients have a problem with sabotagers. If their tribe that they hang out with isn't doing what they're doing, it's harder for them to adopt their healthy behaviors. So when they bring people together and they all get taught the same thing, they at least give the person more grace and sometimes join them. So I do go to people's homes, but most of my counseling is one-on-one via Zoom because it's so convenient. And I have many other things I'm going to be doing down the pipeline. I'll have a beautiful list of services. I will have an ebook that'll be available for discount at my table at the Expo.
Great. Excellent. Well, this has been fantastic, Diane Kopelakis. And I want to thank you for sharing all your knowledge. And I think you are going to be an incredible addition to the Expo.
Thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough, really, for this opportunity.
Great. So again, thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time at the next Body and Soul Expo podcast. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye, Diane.
Bye. Hope to see you there.